Next week, we'll be discussing Primer from 2004. Tom, how was your watch?
I saw this movie shortly after it came out, and I
Fond of it?
wasn't fond of it. I tried to say something else. I wasn't a big fan of it. I did watch the director Cathor Caruth. Thank you. His name fell out of my head a second. Yeah, I watched his more recent film, the 2012 film Upstream Color, which I actually enjoyed. I found that to be touching. I watched this movie again on my computer. I actually liked it a lot less this time. Sorry, Andy. I know you're a big fan of this movie. Um, and I think a lot of my problem with it isn't the obliqueness of the plot, which is designed in such a way that you have to watch the movie multiple times to understand what's happening, but the way in which so many characters are sidelined or not given attention, especially characters like Amanda, who seems vital to the plot, yet I don't think we even hear her voice. She doesn't have a scene. We don't exactly know how she relates to the people in the world because the director seems so interested in creating this engineering problem of how do we not only depict actual time travel, how it would probably look in the world, but also this engineering timeline of how do we stitch together this very complicated plot. And consequently, he seems to ignore actual basic filmmaking things like if you want our characters to be cared about by the audience, you probably have to show them at least having a scene and talking or something like that in order to create a kind of human investment in it and not just an investment in the complexity of the plot. And so that was my response. Andy, how was your watch?
I thought it was pretty interesting. I didn't pick the movie because I loved it. I picked it because I remember it being interesting, and it was interesting. I haven't seen it in a long time, and I find this after rewatching movies I haven't seen for a long time, how different I view them just through different life experience. I think I'm kind of amazed how much rewatching movies over time can make a difference. Um, and so I came at this movie, through the life experience of having been an engineer for much longer. So it's a kind of engineering movie to me, and having experienced many more fictional time travel kind of schemes, um, and being a parent and that kind of thing. It's just like a different way to view it. But it's so short. I mean, it's almost like a short film, and it's like an hour and 15 minutes or something. It's the shortest movie I think maybe I've ever seen. Um, and so I guess to keep it that tight, you have to make, you know, trade-offs, like not introducing the characters that are yet still plot points. So I agree that there's so much there's almost more in the movie that is not in it than that is in it. You know what I mean? There's just so much mystery. There's so much that's not explained or not confirmed or and and uh and not developed, in the case of these other characters. That it's like a little vignette of it, but it doesn't feel really like a fleshed out movie. It feels more like a mini like a short. I don't know what the right definition is. But yet I think it's like kind of stimulating. It gets the thought process going. And yeah, so worth watching and thought provoking. KJ, what'd you think?
So I found Primer in college, 2004 in college. In college it was great because it was like nothing I had seen before, right? This is one of those movies you either find on the college network. At the time they were just open, you could grab any files you want, or maybe somebody else found it and we all piled into a dorm room and watched this weird movie together. And so I really enjoyed it then. Again, it was different. On the watch for this, it was kind of confusing, not in a good way. Like I don't think there's a complete narrative there. But like Tom, I went and watched Upstream Color, and then I came back and watched this one again, and I enjoyed it a lot more on the second watch when I wasn't concerned with the plot, when I was just taking it in for what it was. So yeah, audience, I advise just don't worry about following the plot too much. Just enjoy the film. How about you, Nick?
This was my first watch. I did not see it back in college days or when it first came out or anything around that period of time. I would say that I enjoyed the first, let's say, approximately 3/4 of the film. I was intrigued. I wanted to figure things out. I thought I did. And then at the end, it just kind of gets crazy. They just keep throwing different images, and I don't even know how to explain it. Like, just different scenarios, what timeline? I don't know. I don't know. So that's where my analytical brain almost started to shut off a little bit, because I like piecing movies together. There was just too much data for my brain to process and not enough linking the different data points together. So that's what I would say about that. But what I did want to say is I really thought this was a good example of what historically would have been a KJ pick. The only thing that would have made this more of a KJ pick. Now we got low budget. Okay. I think they made this on like $7,000.
Yeah, super low.
We
budget.
got time travel. I mean, anything time travel, KJ is going to. The only thing that would have made this a true KJ pick is if this was in Japanese with subtitles. That would have made it the epitome of a KJ pick.
I'll look around for one.
Am I right? Am I right?
Yeah, KJ has been a resident supplier of Japanese films, a resident supplier of low budget films, and a resident supplier of time traveling films, books, and other media. So yeah, I think Nick, you're correct.